The proposal window that you have to have someone buy your product or service is actually really small. So if somebody books a call with you to take a sales call on Friday, they're usually having these three things happening. They're usually really fired up about the problem because they just experienced it. So they have a lot of pain and they want it to go away. They also have worked with usually their C-suite executives at that time. They have a range on the budget. The budget's been approved. They said, yes, we can go and hire someone to help us fix this type of issue. Go look for them. And they want that problem gone as soon as possible so that they no longer have to deal with it. So the problem that we see with our active clients is that if they wait until Monday, instead of acting on this on a Friday, the urgency usually disappears because it's been the weekend. There's a couple days that have gone by. That fire that was burning on Friday, they've usually kind of put a workaround into place. And now they have new fires on Monday. So we didn't meet them where they were at emotionally. And so this no longer becomes a thing that they want to act on. So you really want to try to push for meeting them at that emotional state as soon as you possibly can. And that's why what we want to set up here is the after the call system. In my opinion, it sometimes matters more than the call itself, what you say on the call itself. This stuff that you send to them afterwards, these automations that we're going to send out through Salesforce, matter a lot more to build that trust and show them that you're capable of solving that problem for them. So you can turn a lead into an active paying customer. So this is the system that I like to build out for our clients that we work with inside of Salesforce that's going to remove admin work, speed up the follow-up process for you, and it makes it easier to close the deals when they get to that point. So step one here is we're going to keep everything inside of Salesforce, okay? I'm kind of cutting off this with my face over here, but if your sales rep has to leave Salesforce to send out the proposal itself, you're automatically right off the bat, you're going to be losing speed, right? So what we want to do is try to keep them in the system as much as we can so that they're not having to click to different places to go build a proposal here, look at the quote, to check it out over there, log into DocuSign to see if someone signed here. We want everything really to be in one spot so that we can just follow up in one place and there's not all these extra steps that the sales rep has to take. So most tech companies that we work with, we'll usually see them do something like that. They have a separate proposal tool. They'll copy in the client details over there. They send it out. They download that as a PDF. They attach it back to the deal. And then they manually track opens and signatures in these different platforms. A really popular one would obviously be DocuSign. DocuSign, in most cases where they have not integrated that with Salesforce, works exactly like what I just told you. So you're trying to track your leads and your opportunities as a sales rep inside of Salesforce and see what's going on. But then you also have like these quotes that you've kind of sent out over in DocuSign and you're trying to track progress there. So it separates their time from being outside of Salesforce and not tracking deals and calling people and emailing people all day to kind of chasing down this admin type work when we could just make them kind of go together. So that's a lot of busy work that they end up doing. Busy work is going to kill the momentum for that sales rep. This is a better approach that you could do. There's one button in Salesforce, you hit generate proposal, and you send it. So we're going to take this down from 6 steps up here and a different platform to 1 platform and 3 steps. So half amount of steps. And to make it even better, doing this is going to help you track status right inside of Salesforce. Like I say, your reps will stay focused on selling and the system is going to just take care of everything else that you're worried about. So did they sign? Did we get the PDF attached? Who are we waiting on signature for? All that stuff is going to be available to you inside of Salesforce on that deal that they're actually working. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be auto move the deal stage. So here's where we want to kind of think through your sales process and figure out what are some manual steps that your sales reps are responsible for now. Usually this is going to look like we send out some type of proposal. The opportunity should then update automatically. In most cases, they're updating it manually. So we sent this out. And now that we sent it out, this sales rep is responsible to go and change the stage inside of opportunity onto your Salesforce from, maybe it's open to proposal sent, or maybe it was negotiating to proposal sent. And they're responsible for that step change. Why that matters to you in the RevOps world, if you're a CRO or RevOps manager, is because you're going to be tracking forecasting. And so you want to know exactly where every deal is at so that you can accurately forecast how likely it is that they're going to hit quota and where you guys are going to land for the end of the month and the end of the year and next quarter and so on. So it's important that these things are updated at all times so that you know where all the deals are at and that your sales manager can then get in and coach them on whatever step that they're on so that we have the most likelihood of closing that deal. So the opportunity should update automatically. Most of the time it doesn't. You guys usually are doing this manually. So some of those stages, like I said, proposal sent, contract sent, waiting on client, or whatever wording that you want to use, you should have some type of stage there that represents when we send out this contract. This matters because leadership is going to need to see that pipeline clearly, like I told you. But it also matters because what we don't track, we can't improve. I have this one bolded because this really helps your sales managers at this point. If they don't know where these deals are sitting, we really don't know why a deal ends up going to close lost or close won. And that makes it hard for your sales manager to then coach that individual to make them better at what they do so that they can close more deals for you. So it really makes their progress kind of stall out. Eventually, if we go down the rabbit hole there, the sales rep also wants to leave too, right? Because they're feeling like, hey, I was an SDR, I want to be an AE. There's no path for me to get there. I'm not getting the coaching I need to do. I don't know how I can get there. There's nothing clear from the company that they're providing me. So I'm also just going to leave, and you're going to have to restart and get a new sales rep. So all of this stuff kind of plays into one another. We want to make sure that we track that progress for several reasons. So if you don't know how long a deal sits in this stage of proposal sent after we send it, you can't fix that problem. So the system should also stamp stage entry date for you. Now, when we stamp that date, you can see these things, which are we slow to follow up? Is the proposal confusing? Do deals die in this stage more than others? Those are things that you're going to want to know so that we can improve those metrics. Step 3, we're going to want to auto set that close date. So most reps, what I see when I get into these tech companies, they will forget to do this. This is saying when this deal is likely to close. They're lazy. It's just because they're focused on selling activities, which is exactly what you want them to do. You want them to be emailing, calling, texting, DMing on whatever social media platform to get this deal done. That's what you hired them to do. That's where you want their time to be. You don't want it to be in a bunch of admin work where it's not really doing much for them. So where we can automate these little things and let them sell more, the more advantage you have over your competitors to be able to get more deals done because they're spending more time on sales activities and revenue generating activities versus just sitting there in Salesforce doing a bunch of stuff. Okay, so when the proposal goes out, we're going to set an expected close date. Okay, when we send these proposals, you'll know this within your business. You know, for like my own business, we know when we usually send a proposal, it's likely to close in the next 30 to 60 days. So we might come up with like a formula inside of our own Salesforce that would say auto set the close date from today's date to 45 days from now to split it in half. And that will be like our expected close date. Doesn't mean that's when it's going to for sure close, but it's when we're expecting it to close because we've now sent out that proposal. So that now gives everybody in the company that's not selling this, your CRO, your RevOps manager, the CEO, whoever's in charge of the sales managers, to see, okay, this is when we expect this deal to get done. We sent it out 45 days from now. We hope to have this deal completed. So start with a simple rule. Like I said, you could even do something shorter if your sales, depending on what you're selling, right? If you're selling SaaS, it's usually a lot shorter than something like myself where I'm selling client services. It's a higher end ticket. Whereas if you're selling SaaS, it's usually a little bit lower that you can get somebody on there a lot faster. So maybe you set something like proposal sent plus 7 days. You can always adjust this later. You don't have to live and die by this. So just set something up so you have it. And the point would be you get forecasting become less emotional and more accurate. Okay. Step 4 here, we're going to create follow-up tasks automatically. So this is where deals get won when we do these follow-ups. Almost always, if you've done anything inside of sales or you've worked with a sales team, it's very, very, very rare for somebody to do a one call close, right? Unless you have an extremely low risk, low price ticket offer, okay? Almost always it's going to take some type of follow-up. And so what we want to do here is have these things mapped out for our sales team. So after that proposal is sent, the rep shouldn't have to guess what they have to do next. This is also going to help you when you hire new sales reps. So when you hire someone new and they have to kind of catch on to all this stuff, they don't want to have to be bothering other sales reps or sales managers every single time. What are the things that I got to do again when I send out this proposal? And when are the times that I got to send them out? Again, you want them just calling, texting, emailing, DMing. You don't want them to be thinking about when they have to do these things. So if we can automate this, which you should know your sales process well enough to say after we send the proposal, Here's the main 4 frequently asked questions that they usually have. Let's start sending some lead nurturing emails from our account that will say these types of things. Have them templatized, and even better if you can just automate the entire thing. So the system should create tasks like follow up in 2 days, send value email number 1, schedule review call with stakeholders. And then you're going to want to keep that amount of tasks limited. The less, the better. You don't want to overwhelm them with 30, 40 different tasks that you should be doing. 25 steps, like I always say, is overkill. If you have 25 things that you'd have to do, it's insane, right? You want to keep this down to as simple as possible so that it just gets done every time. And again, just like the other one, you can always add to it. You don't have to live and die by this. This is to get this system set up and have a foundation so you can start testing to see what works. If you need more steps, add more steps. If you have too many steps, reduce the amount of steps. The steps really are there to protect the momentum that is happening inside of that cell. Okay, so because if the process only works for one person and that person has to remember everything, it's not a process, it's relying on a person. And you'll see this as your sales reps eventually leave the company, right? Mostly you're going to have some turnover of some sort. So you'll see that if you are locked into a certain person being there and knowledge inside of their head, that's not a great system to have. That's just a person that knows how to do their job well. Okay, and then step 5, what I would do here is I would follow up based on behavior. So 2 leads can get the same proposal, but need a different type of follow-up process. So add 1 decision point, which would be something like, did they open up this first email that I sent or the proposal that I sent? This is an easy way to start this foundation. If they have not opened it, then we're going to send them a reminder. If they opened it, but they didn't sign it yet, then we're going to send them a value email. So the first one might just be, we send it on a Friday, it's now Monday, weekend got ahead of them. Okay, great. Just send them a follow-up. We don't need to send them a value email and tell them why we're so great. They just may have forgotten, weekend got a hold of them. In this situation, they opened it, but they didn't sign it right away. So they might be hinging on signing with somebody else, not sure on your service yet. In that situation, we do want to say, hey, this is why we're better. This is, usual questions that people ask us. This is how we can make sure that you're taken care of. You want to have that automatically going out so that, again, these aren't missed. Yes, you should have your sales reps be looking at these at all times. But again, if we can automate this stuff so that it's just happening for them, better for them. So this is going to have a situation where they're not getting so much pressure either. You don't have to worry about these random follow-ups from the sales reps every single time. We're going to automate this and it's just going to do it, and we don't have to get emotional about it. So this is really good for having like a useful comparison, a clear recap of pain points that you have, FAQ that I've mentioned a couple times, a simple next step, like maybe they're just unaware of like how this starts and we can send something like that. Values tend to get more responses. The pressure that you're putting out there tends to get ignored. So an example of those 2 things, if I send to somebody after we have talked about, here's how we are going to work with you, or here's a case study of somebody similar that we worked with and how we built out their Salesforce and it blew up their tech company, right? If I send something like that versus, hey, just following up, or when are you going to sign the deal, or when can I expect this to be completed? That's pressure. And when I get those emails, I'm sure everybody else feels similar. I don't want to respond because it's like, you're trying to make me operate on your timeline, and it makes it really obvious to me that you as a sales rep feel pressured to get this deal done for your own quota, not because you care to take care of me, right? Versus if I get value, this feels a lot more, you care about the outcome that I'm about to get, and I'm usually going to be a lot more open to responding to something like that. So that would be the system that you want to set up. It's not super fancy. It's pretty simple as you're seeing here. But it is tried and true, meaning when we get these things set up, you can always add to it and refine it in whatever way works best for your company. But the point is, we want to get some type of foundation set up so that you can close more leads into active paying customers. Best sales teams, like I say here, don't rely on one person. In this case, let's just pretend it's Greg, but they don't rely on Greg's magic, right? Like they have a system that they follow, that system works, and that system closes deals. They're not worried about one great person that works at the company that knows how to just get this stuff done for them. Okay. So what we want to do is basically take what's in Greg's head. What does he do that looks like magic? How does he close so many deals? And let's turn that into a workflow that we can run for our entire sales team. Now, if this seems interesting to you and you haven't done anything like this yet, we would love to come in and partner with you to implement something like this. Is obviously something we're super familiar with, and have all of those playbooks inside of there, value emails that you should send out that have worked really well, what stages should look like, what the auto close dates should look like, how to set up your follow-up tasks. There's going to be a lot of little things inside of there that you just heard about that we know how to set up and have done several times. So if that seems a little bit more interesting to you, just want to save the time there, you can contact us here. I'll click it. This is going to bring us to our website. This will go through everything that we do within our services, who we are, what your team would look like when you hire them, and what you can expect to pay on a monthly rate, as well as a bunch of testimonies from people that have worked with us and frequently asked questions. So you can kind of see here that I'm already kind of eating my own dog food. Everything that I just said inside of that email, we also have on this page here that you can see that would walk you through all of those kind of questions that you're likely to have with us. Cool. All right. If that is you, I have that link below. Look forward to speaking with you soon.